The next interview is also by Frank Beneda with Mr. Bill Baker of Grandfield, Oklahoma. This is Frank Beneda, Hitchcock, Oklahoma, interviewing William Baker of Greenfield. This is May the 4th, 1974. I'm interviewing him for Living Legend. Mr. Baker, what year were you born?
1881.
1881. And whereabouts were you born at?
Frederick
County, Kansas. And your parents, did they live on a farm? They lived on a farm. Just a little bit louder. That speaker's there.
Yes, sir.
And how long did your folks live there in Kansas? Where did they live before they came to Kansas, or had they lived there all their lives?
Well, my father came from Illinois. My mother from Iowa.
And you say your father farmed? Your father lived on a farm?
Yes.
What did he raise there in Kansas?
Oh, just everything. Just what the crops in those years.
What crops were those?
Oh, that's wheat and corn mostly.
Wheat and corn. And what did the country look like when you first remember it?
Well, it wasn't very much broken out, but pasture land.
Is Sedgwick County, is it west of Wichita?
No, Wichita was in the middle section.
Oh, it is. And how far from Wichita did you live?
20 miles.
Which way?
Northeast.
And did it rain quite a bit there in those days?
Sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't.
Did your father and mother like Kansas?
Yes, yes, sir.
And did you start school in Kansas?
That's all the schooling I got.
And what type of school was that?
It's a country school.
And about how many people were there?
School?
Yeah. About how many?
Oh, from 20 to 30.
What were their ages? Their ages. How old were they? About.
One year I had someone that's 21 or 2 years old.
Did the teacher have much trouble with them?
No.
Did. Was it a man teacher or a woman teacher? Did you have a man teacher or a woman teacher?
Sometimes one, sometimes the other.
And what did the building look like?
Just a Robbery school.
Made out of wood?
That's right.
And how long had your parents lived there in Kansas? Do you have any idea?
Well, my mother came in 71, and my father came in 1880. So 1885.
And they got married there in Kansas?
Yes, sir.
And how many brothers and sisters did you have?
One brother.
One brother? Is he still living?
No.
Did he come to Oklahoma?
No.
You say you had how many years did you
Well,
go
year
to
at Wichita Business College.
besides out there at that country school, huh? And what did Wichita look like in those days?
Oh, not very much.
It wasn't. Where did you haul your farm products to?
Well, we had a little town, this Rock Island Railroad, built there in 1888.
And so what was the name of this little town?
Forty.
And is it still there?
No, the town's there, but there's no post office or anything anymore.
It's all gone.
Yeah.
And did your folks move to Oklahoma? They always lived there in Kansas.
Yes, sir.
And how long did you live in Kansas then?
Till 1912.
You lived in Kansas till 1912.
Came here in 1912.
What type of people would you say were there in Kansas? Were there many outlaws or?
Pretty good type.
Pretty good type,
Yeah.
huh? Pretty honest people. Had they all been there in Kansas quite a while, or was it still people moving in and out? Or?
Well, that country was settled up, I think, in the late 60s.
So they were a pretty stable population.
Yeah.
And how come you decided, or what did you do in Kansas till 1912?
I farmed.
You farmed. And what did you raise mostly?
Which?
What did you raise mostly?
Oh,
What was
just
your
like the
main
rest of them
crop?
did.
What was that?
All
Mostly.
folks in green crops.
About what would your oats and wheat make in those days?
Oh, that is different. They make different fields. But not a season.
Uh-huh. And I guess they had thrash machines. And
Yes, sir.
you remember your first thrash machine?
Yeah, horsepower.
Horsepower? Did the horses go on a treadmill?
No,
Went around and around? How many horses did it take to run one of those?
12.
And what did the thrash machine look like?
Well, I couldn't describe it for you.
Did it have a blower on it to make a stack?
They finally did, yes.
But first it just went out on a
First had a web carrier.
web carrier. And so you came to Oklahoma in 1912. And whereabouts did you come to?
The green field.
You come to Greenfield. And what did Greenfield look like in those days?
Not much.
Could you kind of describe some of the buildings and who was there the time you came?
No, they're most all gone now. Buildings there.
Mm-hmm. They had a bank there.
Yes.
And who ran the bank?
Bob Thomas.
Bob Thomas. And who ran the store? Who ran the grocery store?
Oh, that was different ones, different times.
There were several grocery stores.
Oh, there were. What about the train? Were there a lot of passengers coming to Greenfield?
What of it?
Quite a bit. Did you have any bank robberies in Greenfield?
Yes.
Could you tell me about that?
I guess you can.
I was in it.
Oh, you were. Well, could you
I was
give
working.
time?
I was working in the bank at the time.
Mm-hmm. And what happened now? And what time of day was it?
What time of day? About 11:30. Be the last day of June in 1925.
Do you know who it was robbed the bank?
Which?
Do you know who it was? How did it happen? Why don't you just kind of tell me how?
Well, they just three fellows came in and robbed us. I don't know.
Who were they?
Well, I forget the name now. They were from Tulsa.
Did they catch him?
Yes.
Got the money back?
So we didn't get the money back.
They didn't. What did they do when they came in? Did they pull a gun?
Yes.
Who did they point the gun at?
Well, I had to open the safe for them.
Did they scare you very much?
Marshall Kelly was the cashier at that time.
Uh-huh. How many in the bank were there at that time? How many officers?
There was 4 of us in the bank.
There's 4 of you.
Locked 3 of us in the vault.
And what did they do with the other one then? They locked 3 of you in the vault?
Yes.
And what did they do with the other one then?
Took it with them.
When did they turn him
They
loose?
turned it loose after about 9 or 10 miles.
Did they get very much money?
About 2,000.
About 2,000. Did they get it all, or
No.
they just didn't get it all? Huh? Did they threaten to shoot?
No.
They didn't. Who do you remember around Greenfield that's kind of a character?
How's that?
What person do you remember around Greenfield that stands out in your memory?
About all of them, I guess.
Well, I think Mr. Okla that run the grocery store was one.
Uh-huh. Why do you happen to remember him?
Well, I don't know. Everybody liked Mr. Okla, and so I guess that's why I remember him.
Right, a month ago, he could have told you the whole history around here.
Who was that?
Roy Cooper.
Roy Cooper. He died, though, didn't he? Yeah, I was going to get him, but I just didn't get around to it.
Died a month ago.
Yeah. Did you remember the man Greenfield was named after? Was he Greenfield? Did you remember Greenfield, the man that the town was named after?
Yes.
What did he do?
He's a farmer.
He was a farmer, and where did he live?
Oh, he lived about 5 miles west of Greenfield.
Oh, he did. And how come, did you ever hear him say how come they named Greenfield after him?
No.
Never did?
Right before I got here.
Uh-huh. And, what is the main difference between Greenfield country and Kansas?
That's rougher here.
It was rougher here. Do you think it's,
Rougher and sandy.
do you think it raised good crops here as it did wood cut in Kansas?
Oh, just about the same, I guess.
Mrs. Baker, where were you born?
In Harvey County, Kansas.
And where is Harvey County? What's the county seat of Harvey County?
Newton, I guess, isn't it?
That would be just north of, Newton is north of Wichita.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where did you, you were born there in Kansas?
Yes.
And had your folks lived there quite a while?
Yes, they lived there for many years. They came from Illinois.
Did they come still when there was still a little Indian trouble? Or did you ever hear them say?
Yes, the Indians came up in there sometimes. But when they came from Illinois, they came in a covered wagon, you know.
Uh-huh.
There was a whole wagon train out that came. I don't know how many.
You don't know whereabouts in Illinois?
Fulton County.
And your family came from Illinois, and how many children were there?
In my father's family?
Yeah. Oh, your he came before you were born. He
Oh,
came,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now you were telling me they come in a caravan of wagons.
Yes. Well, there was there was 9 boys and 2 girls in the family.
Of your father's?
Uh-huh.
And how many of them went to Kansas in this caravan, or do you know?
Well, they were all with them in the caravan. They came with them. The whole family came.
Do you know about what year that was?
Well, I don't know. Do you know, Will, what year they might have come to Kansas?
But you folks here,
Yes, and they come to Kansas.
it must have been about 70, 71, or
It must have been, I guess.
Did you say they come by caravan, and did you say whether they had any Indian trouble or not, or
Not
anything?
on the way they didn't, I don't
They
think. I
didn't.
never heard them say they did. I don't think so. When they came with the wagon train of a night, why they'd make a circle around, you know, so that they could protect themselves, all of them, if they were attacked, but I don't think they were ever bothered.
And what about what kind of a house did they build when they come to Kansas?
Well, it was boards straight up and down, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess they had, they had upstairs rooms and kitchen and 3 bedrooms downstairs.
And how many brothers and sisters did you have?
I had 1 brother and 1 sister.
And let's see, you were born about what year then? About 1882 or 3?
Yes.
Was there any Indian trouble while your folks were living out here on this farm?
No, I don't think so.
And did your father ever mention where he was during the Civil War and anything about the Civil War? He would have been born, or he would have been, let's see, he was probably born after the Civil War, wasn't he?
Yes, I guess so, but they were in Illinois, I suppose.
And,
My grandfather on my mother's side was in the Army.
during the Civil War, huh?
Yes, he made the march with Sherman to the sea.
No. Do you remember him?
Oh, yes.
Did he ever talk about it much?
Well, quite a bit.
And where did you go to school at then? In the country
Country
school?
school, yes.
What did it look like?
Well, it was just an old schoolhouse, of course, then. I think it was built in 72. And it was called Pleasant Ridge.
And it was a wood building, wasn't it?
Yes.
What did the inside look like?
Well, it had a long blackboard with one end.
What kind of desks did you have?
Well, they were just old-fashioned desks, I guess. That's about all I could tell about that.
Did you write mostly on a chalkboard, or did you have tablets, or how
Well-
did you get your lessons?
Well, we had tablets, and then we'd have to put our lessons on the board lots of times.
And did your folks like Kansas?
Oh, yes, I guess so.
Never mentioned that.
No.
Did your mother like Kansas?
Yes, I guess so.
Did you never get homesick for Illinois?
Well, she didn't say she did. I don't know, she might have, but she didn't say so.
And
Folks were all there, you know, so I guess they didn't get homesick because they were all together, not very far apart, you know.
did your father see any of the cattle drives or anything like that? Well, Newton was kind of a cattle town. Let's see, that
Well,
one.
I don't know about that, but he used to hunt buffalo.
Oh, he did.
Yes, he hunted buffalo out about Dodge.
He went out, he hunted buffalo around Dodge.
Not in there.
Did he have somebody of his brothers or somebody go with him, or did he ever say much about it?
Oh, yes, he told us lots about it. I don't remember whether any of his brothers went or not, but different men in the neighborhood went.
Would you tell us, now that's all, now I've never actually heard of a buffalo hunter, or any, well, I've heard of them too, but never this close. Could you tell me some of the stories he told you?
Well, he said they nearly froze to death in March one time. There was an old man with him, and they said that he almost froze to death. Of course, they had the buffalo hides to wrap up in, you know.
And did he have any trouble with Indians out when he hunted buffaloes?
No.
He didn't.
No, I don't think so.
How would he do? Would he just go at a certain time of the year and then come back, or
Yes,
him and some of the neighbors, huh?
yes, they went to, I think, well, it must have been in the spring, because he said they nearly froze in March, so it must have been in the spring time of the year.
And do you suppose he went more than one time, or did he ever mention?
Well, I wouldn't know for sure about that, but they used to hunt buffalo so much there, you know, for the hides
Yeah.
and the horns, I guess.
Did he say how much he got for his hide?
No, I don't remember that. They were not very high, though, in those days, I'm sure.
He didn't happen to say about how many they killed, or
No.
did you see any of the hides, or did he
No.
never did keep any of them? Huh? Did you do anything else like that might be interesting to hear about?
And they had a baseball nine. They used to play baseball a lot.
That's your dad's brother.
Yes.
And what did you do mostly when you were a girl? What was your average day like?
Well, just like all other children, I guess, play and do what chores we had to do. Everyone had to work in those days.
About what did you do? Did you have a lot of washing to do? How did you get your water there in Kansas? Did you have a well, or did you go to the creek?
Yes, well,
Any of you kids ever get very sick?
no.
And what was your name?
Stevenson,
Stevenson?
Mary Stevenson.
Are you related to George Stevenson?
Oh, yes, he's my brother.
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
My sister Alice lives at Greenfield.
How'd you meet your husband?
Well, I don't just remember, I guess. Oh, we went to school, you know. We didn't go to the same school. We went to different schools. But I guess maybe at church. There, so I can remember.
What church did you go to then?
Methodist Church at Sterling.
And how did you happen to decide to come to Oklahoma?
Well, we came, after we were married, we came to Oklahoma.
How come you happened to decide to come to Oklahoma?
Well, I don't know that.
Did you have any relation here or anything?
Yes. My uncle Arthur Stevenson. I expect you knew him.
No, I don't believe I did. What did he do?
He was a farmer.
Have you been back to Kansas very much? Were you born?
Well, several times. We used to go when we old folks were living. We used to go up there every 2 weeks. Once every 2 weeks, maybe. So, you know.
How did you go, on a train?
No, we had a car. We drove back.
Did you ride on a train very much?
Oh, sometimes from Furley to Wichita.
That would be 20 miles. Huh? Well, I doubt it'd be 20 by rail, would it?
Nothing anyway. Anyway, that's where we went.
Do you remember any robberies? Anything that happened in your life run?
People didn't doctor in those days very much. Of course, there was a doctor in a town not so far away that everybody doctored with, but people didn't doctor in those days like they do now.
Did you have any flu epidemics or anything like that when you were a kid?
No,
No smallpox? Or
no,
none of you ever got hurt?
no.
What generally now, like on a Sunday, what generally was your main, what would you call a real Sunday meal? Or what would you generally have when you were a girl?
Oh, summertime we always had fried chicken and vegetables out of the garden and fruit.
Probably when you were like deer or anything.
No.
They'd all been killed off.
Yes, that's there they were.
And Did you have watermelons in Kansas?
Oh, yes.
Did you have yellow meated watermelons too, or mostly red?
Just red. I don't believe I remember any yellow ones.
Do you remember the winters in Kansas?
Yes.
Were they very severe?
They were pretty cold. Lots of snow, usually.
Do you think the winters were harder there than they are here in Oklahoma?
Yes, I think so. We used to walk to school. We had to walk 2 miles straight west to school. It was real cold. Lots of times the snowdrifts were so deep they covered the tops of the wire fences. We could walk right over the fences.
Was most of the country broke out when you were a girl up there?
Yes, most of it was, but there was still some prairie. When my folks came there, though, there wasn't anything but just the prairie, you know. They had those big prairie fires.
Did your parents, did they live in a sod house or anything when they?
No, they didn't.
They built a house out of lumber.
The houses were all made out of lumber then.
Have you ever saw a sod house?
No, I never did.
That was my mother's father.
Your mother's father, he homesteaded in Kansas, did he? And what type of house did he have?
Dugout.
He had a dugout.
Yeah.
See, I'm recording now. And
He came from Pennsylvania.
how did he get to Kansas?
Well, I last day they made the ox team.
He did.
Yeah, from eastern Kansas, Fort Scott there.
Fort Scott. You say he first came to Fort Scott, and then from Fort Scott he went out in central Kansas, and he went by ox train, or by oxen.
He and my grandmother married in Iowa. But he was Pennsylvania, so he was.
Did you ever see an ox team?
No, I never have.
I have.
You've seen ox teams?
Yes, I have.
What'd they look like? What color was it?
Well, I don't remember what color, but I remember there was someone, I can't remember, they had a load of something that they couldn't get pulled out. I think it was in the ditch or something, and there was a man who had a team of oxen, and he came and pulled it out.
Do you remember the first car you ever saw?
I just don't believe I did.
What were the roads like here in Kansas? Did they drag the roads or have graders or anything?
Yes, they did.
Even when you were a girl?
Yes, there were just dirt roads, you know, of course, in the country.
Did you have much trouble getting up and down them in the wintertime?
Well, if it was real muddy sometimes, it was pretty bad.
Remember when I lived on Hugger Frank's place?
No, I don't.
Carwell all there sometimes. West of the red car.
I don't remember that.
When
That was in 1910.
first car you ever saw was in 1910.
10 or 11.
Do you have any idea what kind it was?
I don't know what kind of. The red looks, it's a red car.
It was red. I didn't know they had red back there in those days.
The first streetcar I ever saw was the mule streetcar.
Where was it at?
Wichita.
Wichita.
Full of mules.
Was Wichita a very rough town in those days? They had a lot of saloons.
I guess it was pretty rough in those days because I didn't know much about it. Well,
Now, Mr. Baker, I want to thank you for giving me this time, and I enjoyed it.
Well, we have too.
Yeah.